All right, with so many prog supergroups in the 80s and 90s kind of going belly up, it's so heartwarming to see a supergroup that went down like a lead balloon. Let's dive into this.
On the bridge across forever.
Bridge Across Forever from Transatlantic. This is another album that I'm doing in my classics month. This is one of the few albums that I'm doing that's more modern. The last handful of them I've done are from like the 70s, very prominent prog pieces. Wow, that's fun to say, prominent prog pieces. But I decided to kind of finish this off with a handful of records that are more modern. More modern. This thing is over 20 years old, if you can believe it. Yeah, something within, like outside of the golden era of progressive rock. And I mean, where better to start than within the supergroup that was Transatlantic, taking personalities from Marillion, Dream Theater, Spock's Beard, and the Flower Kings, like four of the big progressive rock outfits of the time, and putting them all together. This was also at the time when Mike Portnoy was really playing around with the supergroups. I mean, he was also doing one with Liquid Tension Experiment that was very like prog metal focus. This was his kind of outlet to be prog, like symphonic retro prog. Each personality really does bring something new to the fold. And the reason why I decided to do Bridge Across Forever, their second album, following up Stamped, their first album, is I feel like with Stamped, the album was very much more of a Neil Morse property, with Roland Stoltz helping out quite a bit, and Mike Portnoy kind of just doing his thing on the drums, and Pete Travis just helping out without really putting too much input on it. I feel like this one is much more of all of the boys knowing what they want out of this project and all being on the same page. Not to say that they weren't on the first one, but I feel like the first one, they weren't quite sure what they wanted this to be. They weren't quite sure which direction they wanted to go. So they just kind of went with whatever came and just kind of played around with the landscape. This one, though, they had a crystal clear idea of where to go, and I friggin' love this album. This is one of my all-time favorite albums, and I couldn't think of a better place to go than Bridge Across Forever. Considering that this was released in 2001, still very early on in this third or fourth wave of progressive rock is something to be astounded for. What I particularly love is the album opens and closes with two massive prog epics. We have Duel with the Devil and Stranger in Your Soul, both of them opening up with this very orchestral string movement of do 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 do. Like it provides the perfect kind of opening up of the curtains if this was like a play or something, and allowing the stage to kind of take form and take shape. One of the things that I think really bumps this up from their first record is they're learning how to properly structure these longer stretches of music. And this is something that both the Flower Kings and, I guess all four of the bands, but specifically Flower Kings and Spock's Beard, and then later on with Dream Theater, really knew how to nail down in terms of structuring a longer track. They knew perfect introduction, perfect mid-piece, perfect interludes found without it, and a great play-out. Love the final play-out within Duel with the Devil, and I love how punchy and how proggy this all is. That final play-out on the guitar works on Duel with the Devil with Roland Stoltz on the guitars. This is one of Roland Stoltz's best work on the guitar works. That soaring soundscapes that doesn't lean too heavily on some of the influences that Roland does tend to lean on. Love how it's able to really be its own thing. And I also love how this track has a number of really great build-ups, really great payoffs, and then kind of a come down into the next section. And again, it's the orchestration of movements that I particularly love within this. And same with Stranger in Your Soul. Stranger in Your Soul starts off with this really bumping beat within the drumming sections. It really goes to show the master craft that is Mike Portnoy on the drums. He's able to take center stage when he needs to, but he's also able just to be the accents that are needed in the background. It's shown a lot of times within Stranger in Your Souls. Love the big rhythm section and play out that they have within this section. Again, I love how we are able to start and stop on a dime. This is something that they would revisit quite a bit within the Whirlwind, the follow-up album, a number of years in the future. But I love how they're able just to play out, stop on a dime, and turn it all around and build it all back up again into such a crescendo of music. The final piece of this track, the whole Stranger in Your Soul, that big sound that does reintroduce that big theme that we had on both the introductions of Duel with the Devil and within Stranger of Your Soul, to provide that big crescendo at the end that just bomb, helping us out within these two. So we have the two bookends. Sandwiched between them is the smaller epic of Sweet Chelsea Pike. Love this. It's very Beatles-esque, and I think this is definitely what they were going for. One of the things that I really love is how all four members have their moment to shine in terms of the vocal works, not only within a brilliant four-part harmony, but also on a solo work. And I really, really appreciate how it goes from one singer to another singer to another singer, and then all four singers come together within a dripping, beautiful four-part harmony. Again, very similar to a Beatles in that sense. Really love how it all kind of brings forth this very fun, less serious style of music, because, you know, they can kind of get a little bit too deep into the trenches in terms of creating a very thought-provoking moment. I think Sweet Chelsea Pike is just a very fun 14 minutes of music within that. And then rounding us all off, we have the title track of Bridge Across Forever. And at the times, Neil Morse really loved to write these really staple ballads, and I'm not a big fan. This is probably the weakest track off of this, but it's nowhere close to some of the more somber moments that we get later on, especially within Kaleidoscope of Shine. Wasn't a great track. It's still not quite as amazing as, say, We All Need Some Light from the last album, and that's probably my only, and it's very small, it's not even really a criticism, it's more of just a observation, is that I really did enjoy We All Need Some Light a little bit more than Bridge Across Forever, and it's something that they would continuously play in live shows moving forward. But that being said, this album still is a staple of progressive rock, and it really did kind of breathe new life into the progressive rock landscape within the early 2000s. This was a staple and an album that, you know, us prog fans flocked together and were like, this is what we want from progressive rock. I think it provided a brilliant roadmap for progressive rock in the next decade or two. So yeah, if you haven't heard it, it is a staple of progressive rock. It's one that begs to be listened to. If you haven't heard it by now, please do yourself a favor and listen to it. And if you haven't heard it in a bit or like a hot minute, you know, dive back into it and you'll be pleasantly surprised. So that's what I've got for Bridge Across Forever, and that's what I've got for you guys today. So, what did you guys think about this album from Transatlantic? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Where does it stack up in their discography? This one, I always wonder where it lands in terms of my favorite. Is it this one or Whirlwind? Like, they kind of go back and forth in terms of which one's my favorite. And I can't even go, like, which one do I listen to more, because I listen to them both about the same. So, anyway, let me know of your own thoughts about this album by commenting down below. I think that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been having a blast looking at some of these classic albums, and I hope you have been having a lot of fun with them as well. And yeah, I think that's all I've got for you guys. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.